Chapter 12 Speech of Forgiveness Kshamavani Kshamavani Parva, that is the festival of forgiveness speech, which is celebrated just after the great festival of Dashlakshan, is a festival in which we give up the feeling of enmity, apologize from each other, and grant pardon to each other. This is also called Kshamapana. Nowadays, this great festival, capable of washing off the psychic emotions, is observed only as a customary rite, that is, the means of extending courtesy. Not that we do not celebrate this festival enthusiastically or have become apathetic to it. Actually, we have not become apathetic to it. We celebrate it with interest, even with great enthusiasm. On this occasion, in whole of India, precious cards worth lakhs of rupees are printed. We send them in colorful envelopes to our dearest and nearest friends and relatives. We meet people embracing one another and apologize from them, but all this happens in a mechanical way. Even the smile on our faces is artificial. One does not know where is our reality lost. We have also got trained in artificial laughing, just like the aeroplane hostesses. We seek apology, but not from them whom we ought to beg, whom we have offended, not unknowingly but deliberately. We know this also, but we send the apology cards also, but not to them whom we must send. Selectively, we send the cards to them against whom neither we have committed any offense, nor have they indulged in any offense against us. Today, apology is also sought from them only with whom we have friendly relations, against whom we have never entertained any feeling of offense. Hardly anyone seeks apology from the real enemies. The approach of the so-called rich people, who have various types of occupations and business, have become even more typical. They have got a ready list with them, which is used for sending invitation cards of wedding. The same list is used by their employees for sending apology cards also. The sender does not know who are the people from whom he has sought apology. A similar situation is discernible at the receiver's end. Their staff people get hold of those cards. At leisure, if any, they too have a look at these, just to know who are the persons who have sent apology cards without bothering to read what is written in them. And why should they? Does the sender also know what is written in it? Has he also read the card? The ready-made draft and ready printed cards are acquired from the market. Only the addresses are to be written. Had those also been available in duly printed form, who would have taken pains even to write the addresses? If by chance abuses get printed in it due to the error of the press, even then there is nothing to worry. The cause of worry may arise only when someone reads it. When there is nobody to read it, everyone sees its paper, printing, and get up only. What is then to worry about? What to do also? Today's man has become so much busy that he has no time even to do all this. Even if he writes the letter himself, how many could he write? The relations have increased to such an extent that keeping a record of all is not possible. So everything is just going on like this. Seeking apology, which used to be a personal affair, has nowadays become a market commodity. To apologize or to forgive is a serious matter. It is a holy religion which can change the life of the Jeev. Not only it can change, but as a matter of fact, the life of the forgiver and that of the seeker of apology gets automatically changed. But one does not know as to how has this two-legged become such a smooth jar that no water is retained on it. His black blanket does not entertain any other color. Many important and significant festivals occur, several holy, spiritual saints come and go, but the mundane man remains unconcerned. He continues maintaining his stand. He might have celebrated even a score of Kshamavani festivals. Nevertheless, even 20-year-old enmity is continuing undisturbedly. Even not a little bit decrease is discernible in it. How wonderful is this bravado! He proclaims out the motto, Kshamavīrasya Bhūshanam. Many festivals of Kshamavani have passed away, but the stock of this bravado is intact. Even now he is ready for quarreling, for dying. What more, he is prepared to quarrel on the issue of apology. May quarrel while seeking apology. May also quarrel on not being apologized. May also compel others to seek apology from him. One does not know what peculiar power has today's man developed in him that even after apologizing he can remain rigid. Even after granting pardon, he need not forgive. Sometimes he seeks apology boastfully and also makes a show of it. One of my class fellows was having a peculiar habit. He used to seek pardon boastfully with a great sense of pride and immediately used to assume an offending role on the same issue. He would say, "What is there? If I made a mistake, I have apologized for it. Why is he now howling?" He would talk in a way as if he had obliged the forgiver by apologizing and would expect him to feel obliged. Generally, we don't seek forgiveness at all from those persons with whom we have quarreled. Sometimes, when our friends encourage and compel us to seek apology from them for maintaining harmony, we put up various terms and conditions. We say, ask him also whether he is ready or not for apologizing or forgiving. If the other person also is found ready, then the matter gets stranded on the point as to who should beg pardon first. If some way is also found out, then quarreling starts on the procedure of begging or granting pardon, whether apology should be sought in writing or only verbally. If somehow this problem is also tackled, it is not quite easy to decide the wordings of apology. The apologist would beg pardon in some such language. "I have committed no offense. Even then, since you people are adamant, I am ready to beg pardon," but telling like this, he would further add some new condition. At this, the forgiver would get excited and would say, "First you confess the mistake, then I will grant pardon." Thus, people sometimes beg pardon for mistakes which they have never committed, and the forgiver is not found ready to grant pardon for the offense is not confessed. If the great savants of language prepare and agree on a draft which might satisfy the notions of both the seeker and giver of pardon, then the quarrel may still arise about the place of begging or granting pardon. Even after settling all these issues, if the program of apologizing and granting pardon is celebrated and ends in a cordial atmosphere, then also what is the guarantee as to how long will this feeling of apology persist? But where does the question of its persistence arise when the germination of feeling of apology has not at all taken place in the heart and everything has been left to the care of the paper or has been uttered away? What harmony will result from such type of Kshamavani? This too requires a lot of consideration. People feeling apology by uttering the words pardon me please will be found everywhere. But nowadays the people really begging forgiveness by heart and granting pardon by heart are to be found very rarely. Actually, the correct attitude towards Kshamavani should be something like this, that we apologize by pure heart, either meeting face to face or through correspondence, with due regard for making mention of our mistakes and misbehavior, and forgive and seek forgiveness with pure heart. In other words, what is necessary is that we should develop real forbearance in our heart. One may ask here as to what is all this that I am talking about in respect of this holy festival. But I wish to know, have you any time, after forgiving many people and seeking pardon from many people, indulged in self-introspection? If not, better you do it now and see for yourself whether there is any marked difference or change in your practical life, or it is going on as usual. If it is going on as usual, then please ponder over seriously on matters discussed by me. Don't let it just go unattended. Should I expect that you will pay attention towards this? If you will, you are sure to get some benefit, otherwise things will continue the same way. No benefit is likely to result from it. The real purpose of celebrating Kshamavani is that during the great festival of Paryushan, by the adoration of the 10 religions, our heart should be found overflowing with the feeling of forbearance. And as a jar, when gets overfilled up to the neck, starts overflowing, similarly when our heart jar gets overwhelmed with the sacred water of forbearance, forbearance should start overflowing through the speech also. Only then, as a matter of fact, it could be called the forbearance of speech, that is, Kshamavani. But nowadays, forbearance is simply found in words only. It has rather no relation with the inner self. We utter pardon me in speech, but the Kshama Bhav is not imbibed in our heart. It is because of this reason that our apologies have become superficial. The reality expected of a possessor of forbearance is not there. Apparently, we have become quite sweet-tongued. Keeping the feeling of aversion preserved in the heart, we seek apology, apparently by pretense. Anger and pride are not visibly found in a deceitful person in the same way as these get manifested in a straightforward person. Only on being manifested thus, the disapprobation and approbation is possible. But who knows about the unexposed vices? Hence, a forebearer must also be straightforward along with being dispassionate and prideless. A cunning person may hide his anger and pride, but he is not capable of uprooting these vices. To suppress anger, pride, etc. is a different thing, and to uproot them is quite different. Forbearance consists in uprooting anger, pride, and not in suppressing them. One may ask, forbearance is the name of absence of anger. Why are you putting the terms and conditions that a forbearer should also be prideless, simple, and straightforward? The answer is that, although forbearance is the name of absence of anger, yet Kshamavani is not simply concerned with forbearance in the form of absence of anger only, but is also related to the adoration of supreme forbearance, modesty, etc., 10 religions, in the form of absence of anger, pride, etc., psychic emotions, and the passionlessness arising due to that. The hindrance in apologizing is not the anger passion but the pride passion. The anger passion may be a hindrance in forgiving but not in apologizing. When we say, Khame mi savva jiva, savve jiva khamantu me, mitti me savva bhuvesu, vairam majjam anakenavi. I grant pardon to all living beings and I seek pardon from all living beings. May all living beings forgive me. I am friendly towards all living beings and inimical towards none. Then we take oath of giving up enmity by telling, I forgive all the living beings, or resolve to give up anger, and by telling, may all living beings grant me pardon, we take pledge of giving up pride, or resolve to give up pride. Likewise, the feeling of being friendly towards all living beings is the contemplation of achieving straightforwardness in the form of avoidance of deceitfulness. Therefore, limiting Kshamavani only to the avoidance of anger is not a correct thing. One more thing is that on this day, we, instead of granting pardon, indulge more in seeking pardon. Maybe that in the above mentioned meter, the sentence I forgive to all the living beings is mentioned first, but in common practice we only say please grant me pardon. None is seen telling pardoned. This festival is observed in the form of Kshama Yachana Day and not in the form of Kshama Karan Day. Seeking apology is a disposition which emerges in the absence of pride passion. Why should it not then be called Mardavvani, but all call it as Kshamavani only? One question may also be this, that why is this festival celebrated every year in the form of Kshama Divas? Why is it not celebrated as Kshama Divas in the first year, Mardhav Divas in the second year, Arjav Divas in the third year, and so on? When all the 10 religions are identical, why is so much importance given to Kshama only? The above question can be raised only if the meaning of Kshamavani is taken only as Kshamavani. The true meaning of Kshamavani is Kshamadivani, that is, speech of forbearance, modesty, etc., the emergence of perfect holiness in the form of wrathlessness, modesty, straightforwardness, contentment, truthfulness, continence, austerity, renunciation, non-attachment, and celibacy, evolving in the self by the adoration of forbearance, etc. 10 religions is the real Kshamavani. So long as all the 10 religions do not get manifested in our practical life according to our spiritual capacity, till then we will not get the true benefit of Kshamavani. Now the only question which arises in one's mind is, why is then it named as Kshamavani only? A counter question to this query is, would the experiment of keeping a big name be successful? Could it have been possible for all to remember and repeat such a big name easily? No, it would not be possible. As in spite of there being an equal share of all the brothers or shareholders in a firm, the name of the firm or company is kept in the name of the first brother, and it makes no difference in the ownership of all. Similarly, in Kshamavani, all the 10 religions are included, even if it is known by the name of Kshama only. Another question which may arise is that in whomsoever's name the firm or company is named, the common people would understand that the firm belongs to that person only. This may be so, and such type of misunderstanding may be possible in the minds of the layman, but the wise people understand the position correctly. That is why the laymen understand by Kshamavani as only Kshamavani and do not understand it as Kshamadivani. But when the knowledgeable people try to make them understand, the common people also get the correct sense, and that is why so much elaboration is being made over here. At least in worldly affairs, today's man has become very clever. Is Gandhiji the owner of all the mills, shops, etc., which in our country are in the name of Gandhiji? No, not at all, and everybody understands this thing very well. But I don't know as to why people get involved in such type of fallacies in spiritual matters. In fact, the thing is that nobody wants to think deeply in spiritual matters. How can spiritual matters be understood without going deep into them? If a layman also starts thinking a bit deeply, everything can be understood. Alike the great festival of Dashlakshan, the festival of Kshamavani should also be celebrated thrice in a year. But when the Dashlakshan Parva itself is not celebrated thrice, who would celebrate this Kshamavani festival thrice? Anyway, at least we assuredly celebrate it cheerfully once in a year. Due to this reason also, its importance is further increased, because the chance of washing off the psychic emotions and enmity is available only once in the year. There is also a valid reason why Kshamavani festival occurs thrice in a year. It is this, that Pratyakhan Kashai does not last for more than 6 months. If it exceeds this time limit, then it should be understood that it is Anantanubandhi Kashai. Anantanubandhi Kashai is the root cause of the endless cycle of worldly existence. Hence, if the festival of Kshamavani is celebrated within every 6 months and we get our anger, pride, etc. washed off within 6 months, then it would be in our interest. Enmity is not a thing to be kept even for a day. As a matter of fact, antagonism should not be allowed to emerge. If by chance it is imbibed, then it should be washed off immediately. Even after this, if it persists, then at least on the day of Kshamavani, the heart should be purified, that is, enmity should be given up totally. In this respect, one more thing also is worth noting. We have kept it confined only to the human beings, whereas the Acharyas have extended its area to include all living beings. They have not written as under Khamemi Savva Jaini, Savve Jaini Khamantume, or Khamemi Savva Manuja, Savve Manuja Khamantume, but they have written as Khamemi Savva Jiva, Savve Jiva Khamantume. They have not preached us to beg pardon from or to forgive all jains or all human beings only, but have entreated us to grant pardon to all living beings and to seek pardon from all living beings. Likewise, they don't want us to have fraternity only with Jainas or human beings, but fraternity with all the living beings. Their angle of vision is broad and not narrow. A question may arise here that when any Jeev does not beg pardon from us, how would then we grant pardon to him? And why to seek pardon from him who does not understand our notions? Thus, how would it be possible to beg pardon from the one-sensed beings and to forgive them? To seek pardon or to grant pardon is not a combined process of two living beings. It is totally an independent personal affair. Kshamavani is a religious modification, is a spiritual process. In that process, there is no need of others' cooperation and concurrence. If we want to observe forbearance, it is not essential that when someone begs pardon from us only, then we can grant him pardon, that is, can observe forbearance. Even on not being approached by the faulty person for apology, he can be granted pardon. If it were not so, then observing forbearance would also have become a process dependent on others. If someone does not seek pardon from us, then he himself has not given up his pride passion. And if we have granted him pardon even without being apologized by him, then we have benefited not him, but ourselves by giving up our anger feeling. Likewise, even on being apologized by us, if someone does not grant us pardon, he will harm only himself by not giving up the anger feeling. We have assuredly adored Madhav Dharma in our inner self by seeking apology, by giving up pride passion. Even without being pardoned by him, we cannot be deprived of the benefit which we have secured by begging pardon. This is the reason why the Acharyas grant pardon to all living beings from their side without waiting for being approached by other living beings for pardon, and they seek pardon from all without entertaining the doubt whether anybody will grant them pardon or not, and in this way inculcate supreme forbearance, modesty, etc. 10 religions in the inner self. Whether someone begs pardon from us or not, whether grants pardon to us or not, we from our inside grant pardon to all living beings and beg pardon from all living beings. Therefore, we are nobody's enemy, nor is anybody our enemy in our vision. If the world believes and knows us as enemy, it is its own concern. What have we to do with it? Moreover, what right have we got to interfere with others' belief and thinking? We engross ourselves in our inner self by correcting our own belief and thinking. Let the world bother about its own affairs. Such a passionless modification is Kshamavani in the real sense. Owing to lack of understanding about the true ingredients of Kshamavani, various inconsistencies have developed in its presentation. A few days ago, a picture competition was organized in which Kshamavani was to be presented through the media of pictures. The picture which got the first prize was displayed. When I looked at the picture, I could not refrain from feeling pity at the wisdom, not only of the artist but also of the judges. In that picture, the symbolic form of Kshamavani Bhushanam was shown. The scene of killing a criminal by a mythological personage was pictured. The explanation given underneath conveyed somewhat the following sense. The personage pictured herein granted pardon to a criminal for 100 crimes, but when he committed the 101st crime, his head was cut off from the body. Approving the rightness of the sense of killing in connection with the depiction of forbearance, it was being said, if he did not kill the criminal even after committing the 101st crime, he would have been called a coward. The forgiveness of a coward is not forgiveness, because forgiveness is an ornament of the bold person. By forgiving 100 crimes, forgiveness is established, and by killing, bravery is proved. Thus, this is the best representation of the motto Kshama Virasya Bhushanam, and because of this, he is being given the first prize for Kshama on the occasion of Kshamavani. I have nothing to say to the persons approving not only the consistency but even the propriety of injury with forbearance. What I want to say is only this as to why the persons approving this mythological story as a metaphorical representation of Kshama did not pay attention towards the fact that his forgiveness was not the result of passionless mortification, devoid of the passions like anger, etc., but he was committed to the policy of forgiving 100 crimes. The firmness of keeping his words and the patience regarding the same are assuredly applaudable. But how can this be considered as a symbol of supreme forbearance? Another thing worth noting is, can there also be a second crime in the eyes of a true possessor of forbearance? When he is granted pardon for the first crime, how can the next crime be said as the second one? If it is called the second one, where did he forget the first one? When he could not forget the first crime even after forgiving it, what did then he forgive? The reality is that, though our inner feelings may be full of anger, etc., we have the awareness that in the Shastras, forbearance, etc., are stated to be virtues. Hence, not by cultivating forbearance as preached in the Shastras, but by appearing to be possessing forbearance, by giving the name of forbearance to any one or the other form of anger itself, we wish to be recognized as possessors of forbearance. The best depiction of the observance of forbearance can be only the depiction of the tranquility-possessed saints who have achieved the state of passionlessness as depicted hereunder. Arimitra mahal masan kanchan, kachanindan thutikaran, arghavataran asi praharan, me sada samatadharan. Forbearance is not the name of cowardliness. Observing forbearance is also not possible by coward persons. But bravery is also neither the name of killing others, nor is the name of conquering others. To kill our own passions, emotions, and to conquer our own auspicious and inauspicious desires is the real bravery. The conquerors and killers of others in the battlefield may be brave warriors, not brave observers of religion. A brave observer of religion can only be the possessor of forbearance, not a brave warrior. We have made the field of bravery also narrow. Now we discover bravery only in the battlefields, but bravery can also evolve in the field of peace. This is not clear to us, and that's why we feel it is necessary to show the killing scene for explaining Kshamavani Bhushanam. The presentation of bravery without showing the killing scene does not seem possible to us. The great man who coined this motto may have never thought that this would also be interpreted like this, that a killing scene would also be interpreted like this, that a killing scene would also become the symbol of forbearance and bravery. One more thing worth noting is that this great festival of Kshamavani falls under the adoration of the 10 religions, which Acharya Umaswamy has described in the context of Muni Dharma, that is, observances of a saint. It is a matter worth pondering over seriously as to what should be the ingredients of the Kshamavani, in which the ultimate fruition of the adoration of the 10 religions takes place. It can be seen clearly reflected in that state of affliction on the great saint Parshvanath, in which the afflictions were inflicted by the devil Kamat, and the same afflictions were removed by Dharnendra, and the ascetic Parshvanath was having equanimity for both Kamat and Dharnendra. Also it is said, Kamate Dharnendrecha Svochittam Karma Kurvati Prabhustulya Manovrittihi Parshvanatha Janostunah. Or Kshamavani can also be perceived in the depiction of the great ascetic who gave blessings equally to King Shrenik, who put the dead snake in his neck, and to the queen Chelana, who removed the affliction from his neck. These are the true mythological depictions of forbearance. Can there be any doubt about the bravery of the ascetic Parshvanath? No, never. Similarly, was that great saint also lacking in any way in patience and bravery who conquered the affliction? Is observing tranquility even in the face of afflictions a deed of a coward person? Due to the fear that forbearance may not be named as the religion of coward persons, it should not be allowed to happen that we are not able to retain it in its true form. Also, what is the sense in such apology which is being repeatedly followed by indulgence in the crimes for which it is sought? If for the crime for which we have apologized we are not able to take an oath not to repeat it, we should at least have mental preparedness and make a continuous effort to avoid its recurrence. Otherwise, all this will go in vain like an elephant's bath. Begging pardon and granting pardon, both of these dispositions are exalted dispositions, which make the heart dispassionate and bestow unrivaled peace by washing off enmity. These are not only the bestowers of peace, but are rather the consequentialities of peace. The thing most important and worth paying specific attention is that this ignorant self has sought apology many times from others, has also granted pardon many times to others, but till date he has never begged pardon from the self nor granted pardon to the self, therefore he is infinitely unhappy. Here one may ask, what to beg pardon from the self and also what to grant pardon to the self? The answer is, do we recognize that we have committed innumerable crimes against our own self? Or have we not committed injustices against the self? Have we indulged in lesser measure of anger against the self? Have we done in any way lesser insult of our own self? Have we not made this, the great Lord of the three worlds, a slave of the objects of senses and a beggar begging alms from door to door? Have we not inflicted infinite miseries on the self? Have we taken care of the self till today? These are some of those great sins, faults which we have committed against our own self, and the punishment for which we ourselves are getting since endless time. So long as we ourselves do not take due care of our own soul, do not understand it, do not recognize it, do not get absorbed in it, do not get engrossed in it, till then we are not going to get rid of these sins, faults and miseries. The apathy towards one's own soul is assuredly an infinite anger against it. That thing for which we have an apathy in our heart always naturally remains overlooked by us. The sole intention of granting pardon to the self-soul and begging pardon from the self is only this, that we should know it, recognize it, and should get absorbed only in it. There is no need of formality of speech for granting pardon to the self and begging pardon from the self. The real speech of apology is only to get awakened towards the self-soul. For this, there is no need for dependency on others. And the conventional speech of apology gets automatically evolved due to subsidence of passions like anger, etc., by taking shelter of the self-soul. Hence, let us pray in the end that may we all get seated in the self, get engrossed in the self-soul by forgiving ourselves along with begging pardon from and granting pardon to others. May we remain immersed in the infinite bliss up to infinite period by keeping the self absorbed in the pure self-conscious reality, the ocean of infinite peace. Thank you.